Changing our perspective of possibility, man. That's what halts us in our tracks, is that right there. Our perspective of possibility. We just don't think the answers are there. We think somehow our situation is unique. It's common, man. We can't empathize necessarily with everybody else. We don't know what everybody else is facing. But I think if I tell you someone else is facing the same thing you are, you're going to believe me. How did they do it? Well, we don't know. We don't know how someone else did it. Maybe how they did it doesn't work for you. That's okay. You can still resolve your situation. You can still solve your problems. Now, I'm not talking about things that can't be changed, okay? If you're missing a limb, you can't make the limb grow back, okay? You can do things like, have the what do they call those things? The prosthetics and all that sort of stuff. It doesn't mean your actual limb is growing back. So I'm not talking about things that are obviously impossible. I'm talking about things that are not even close to being impossible, but we say they are impossible. It's what we do. We exaggerate. And, we see this in our kids oftentimes. They will exaggerate. And what do we tell them? We tell them, don't exaggerate. And we need to tell ourselves that. We need to let ourselves know that there's plenty of possibility out there. There's plenty of solutions out there. We don't need to exaggerate our problems and make them even larger in our mind. We need to know that the answers are there. The possibility is there. And that's your new perspective. Moving forward, there are answers. And all it's going to take is some work. That's all it's going to take. And so you've got to be persistent. You've got to keep going. You've got to keep pushing. Resistance comes, you have to push. Again, like the bodybuilder, he or she is going to grow muscle because they're pushing or pulling resistance, weight. And life has plenty of weights for you. Plenty of things for you to lift and press and push and pull. Life has plenty of resistance for you. I think we all know that, right? But what are we going to do about it? Are we going to continue, or are we going to complain? Are we going to push forward, or are we going to pull back? Are we going to rock up and push in there, or are we going to retreat? It all comes down to your perspective of possibility. Because if you know there are answers and you don't have them yet, then that knowledge, that possibility is there, is going to propel you through another day. And sometimes that's all we really need to do, is get you through another day. Because it's hard oftentimes to get our heads around all that it's going to take to get out of where we are. When you think about something that has a time limit on it, that's hard because if you have 2 more years of college, if you have 8 weeks of boot camp, if you have a set duration of time, well, that's hard because your mind goes right to that. It just thinks about how long it's going to take instead of thinking about, let's just focus on today. Let's focus on your perspective of possibility today. What can you get done today? What can you discover today? It's tough, man, because sometimes we just end up, justifying the situation in our own minds and just saying, well, I guess I can learn to live with it. I can learn to live with this situation. No. And you can't allow these things in your own life, because once you start to compromise, then you can expect a waterfall of compromise, because it becomes easier and easier to do, and life gets more difficult the older that you get. It doesn't necessarily get easier. So, try not to negotiate with life. Try not to acquiesce too soon. Keep yourself persistent. Always know that the answers are there. Always know that possibility is there. Think of possibility. And not just, I hope I find my answer to get out of my situation. Go beyond that. Possibility. In other words, Man, your situation that you got to get out of is just one little thing on the step of towards greatness that life intends for you. You've got so much power, potential for greatness inside of you. This situation is but one little roadblock, one little door in the way. All you've got to do is get through it. It makes you stronger for the next one. You just keep overcoming obstacles and eating every hindrance that stands in your way, and you just grow stronger and stronger and more successful and more successful. Man, great things lie ahead, but you've got to believe it. Can you dig that? I hope you can.